My goodness. Welcome, 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 everybody. First of all, welcome to the new year because this is the very first time that I've gone live this year. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. And look, I'm a little rusty. So if I was about a minute behind, that's why. But I'm still here. I'm still here with you. Look, let me do a couple of really quick things. First of all, I want to make sure that we are indeed live. I do see some folks that are popping up, so that's good to know. If you're here, no matter where you're from, and this is your very first time, I want you to type in hashtag newbie. And if you have been here before, you know what to do. Type in hashtag OG. But let us know where you're from and let us know if you're a newbie or if you're an OG. That's what we do here on this show. So my name is Tanya Smith, and this is Stream Like a Boss TV. And what we do is we basically talk to service providers and help to empower and equip you with the ability to be able to turn crickets into cash with live streaming. So my job is basically to teach you content strategies, to talk to you about confidence building activities, to talk to you about conversion of people who are lurkers in your live stream so that they can become leads. So I'm loving lead generation as it relates to live, and that's going to be a big theme for this year. So super excited about talking more about that. For tonight's topic, we're going to talk about mastering your first live stream. Now, I'm going to say this right up front for those of you who are brand new to the live streaming space. It can be a little scary. And so, what I'm going to do and what I love to talk about is strategy. And tonight is going to be a strategy session. So, I do want you to pull your notepad and your pen out, take some notes, because I'm going to give you some simple bites of knowledge that will help you as you move forward in your journey. Even if you're not new to live streaming, because I know a lot of you who are in my community, in my family here at Stream Like a Boss, you've done live streams before, but maybe it's a good time for a refresher. So I felt like I wanted to make sure to show up for you in that way. All right, I see some folks that are in here. What? Cast Ahead. Chris Stone is the OG. Yes, you are. And I am super excited that I'm going to be on your show next week. So you and RK3, I get to hang out with both of you in the same day, which is amazing. And then also empowering your community with Debbie Prediger. Look, Debbie, you're going to be at Podfest next week. So you definitely, let's make sure we connect, is what I'm saying. Let's make sure, because I'm going to be speaking at Podfest next week, and I'm going to be talking about repurposing live streams. So my topic is live stream to limitless. And I'm really excited about even showcasing some of the new custom GPTs and bots that I've created to help with the live streaming process, to help make it more efficient. So that's really exciting to me. And hopefully I'll come back and share some good news with you about how it went. Okay, let's talk about you, because this is not about me. Let me tell you what we're going to talk about. But before I do that, really quick transition. So while I'm making this transition over into our topic, which is mastering your first live stream, I want you to go ahead and make sure, if you haven't forgotten, to go ahead and grab your notepad and your pen, because I've got some goodies, some nuggets that I think I'm going to share with you that hopefully will help you as you move forward on your live stream journey. Okay? All right. And Happy New Year, by the way. I see some more folks that are joining in. Love it. Live stream to limitless. You know it. All right. I'll see you on this other side of this super short video. Okay? Get that notepad and that pen ready. All righty, folks. So look, here's what we're going to be talking about. Today's topic is how to get started with your first live stream. So mastering your live streams. And really, even if this is not your first, if this is your 10th, if this is your third, if this is your 50th, if this is your 500th, however, whatever number it is for you, what I want to do is hopefully share some nuggets with you that will be helpful. It will be especially helpful for those of you who are brand new to live streaming. I want to acknowledge and say hello to some folks, and I also probably need to fix my comment space here. So I'm going to see if we can pull you up real quick, see if we can see some folks and say hello. I might not have done this properly, but I'm going to pull my folks in here. There's Miss Talk Virtual. I see you. Erica Bates in the house. What's up? There's my friend Debbie. I cannot wait to see you. I'm really excited about you, OG. Chris Stone, of course, the master himself. So you don't even need me for this. You need to be teaching the class. Same thing with Learn Live Streaming with John Lacey. Happy New Year. I feel like it's been forever. Let me see who else. I love repurposing. I know it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite things to do because it really is about being efficient, right? Live stream to limitless. Happy 2025. There's my friend James Hicks in the house. Look, we got some heavy hitters in here, so I might be just like talking to the people who already know this stuff. But what we are going to talk about is we're talking about the topic of mastering your first live stream. So let me say hello as well to Arthur Keith, who happens to be family. So good to see you too. You learn from me every session. Look, I learn from you too. I learn from you in the comments as well. Let's dive into this whole thing. And what I want to talk about initially is going to be the concept of three things, okay? So we're going to break this thing down into three topics. The first being mindset and preparation. Okay. So when you're mastering and you're showing and I'm saying mastering, but I'm going to give you a secret. You're not going to master this at the very start. Like it's a journey. Okay. So I've been doing this thing now for a few years and I'm still learning each and every time I get on camera. That's truth. I mean, it's just facts, 100. So when I say mastering, of course, that's great for SEO and all of that stuff, but don't ever feel like you have to stop learning. You're never going to be done with learning because there's so many changes as it relates to technology and the pace and the speed of things that are happening right now, culturally, technology-wise, you name it. There's so much happening. You're never, ever going to know everything. And that's okay. The process is fun. The process of learning is fun. And I hope that you'll see that. So mindset and preparation is part one. Part two is going to be technical setup. So we're not going to do a super deep dive, but I do want to get you started, especially if you're just starting out. I want to make sure I share some things with you. And then number three is content structure. And I'm also going to give you a couple of acronyms to make things easy to remember because that's me, especially in my maturing age. There are certain times I don't remember things. And so I literally have always honestly used acronyms. But I'm going to give you a couple of my acronyms. Actually, one of my acronyms called HEART. I'm going to teach you that. And then I'm also going to talk about the 3 R's of camera confidence. Okay. As a matter of fact, let's start with this. Let's start with overcoming camera anxiety. And then if you do have questions, if there's anything at all that you want to know about while you're here with me related to video, pop that into the comments because I'll go back and I'll scan. Okay. I want to make sure to do that. I see Natalie said it's time to master your live stream. I know it, right? All right, let's dive into point one. And point one is mindset and preparation. Now, how many of you know that everything we do, if you're going to win or lose, if you're going to succeed or fail, it starts right here. Like literally everything we do it starts first with your mindset. It's what are you thinking about the situation? How are you positioning yourself to think and to perceive a situation? How are you responding and reacting to a situation? And so I want you to remember the very first time you ever had to speak in public. And some of you it's probably rare, but there may be a few of you that never, ever had to speak in public. But I will never forget. I was in Toastmasters of all things, and I was in my corporate job. Yeah, I was in my corporate job and they required us, especially for those of us who were in the leadership development program, to be in Toastmasters so that we could learn how to present and to speak, right? And I will never forget how frustrated I felt and how scared I was. And it's not even like I didn't know the people. The people, I knew them. And this is slightly different than, because you're not going to know everybody who's watching you right on your live stream. But I knew the people in the room because I worked with them. I'd seen them in the halls. I'd, maybe eaten lunch with one or two of them. But I still was so nervous. And I will never forget just how much of a strain, it was a stress to go into that room every week when we'd have meetings to learn. It was stressful. But guess what? The more I pushed through, the better I did. Yes, I made really horrible mistakes. And they were counted and they were critiqued. And people were giving me feedback. And mostly in a loving way, although there were some that were just downright bad. Right? And I never honestly felt like I was a speaker per se from doing those activities, but I always felt like it did some good to help me to come out of my shell. And I am an introvert, but I'm not shy. But it helped me to come out of my shell and to do something that I otherwise would not have done. So I'm saying this to say, when you think about that situation where you were kind of put on display or you put yourself out there to speak in front of other people, yes, that nervous energy, those racing thoughts, all of those things could potentially come up for you in this space. So I'm being honest with you. They could come up for you. There are other reasons why certain people have, I guess, wariness around showing up on camera. You're worried about potentially, what are people going to say about you? What are people going to say about your appearance? What are people going to say about what you're saying? Right? Or maybe you just simply are nervous because you don't know what to say. So I want to give you a way to transform that negative energy into some authentic connection on camera. Okay. There's 3 R's of camera confidence that I want to teach you tonight. And before I even get there, I'm going to tell you this. Sometimes, I'm not going to say sometimes, oftentimes, a lot of times, I still get nervous. I still get a little anxious. I still worry a little bit about, what is someone going to think? Shouldn't I be further along in this space? Shouldn't I have fancy things flying all across the screen? And I do pretty well, okay, now. But if you went back to look at my YouTube channel and you looked at a lot of my older videos, they weren't great. I mean, they were downright pitiful, to be honest with you. You could barely hear me. You probably couldn't see me because I was in the dark in some of them. But ultimately, it was all about continuing to do the thing that still made me nervous, that still made me frustrated, because I knew that there was something on the other side. I knew that there was a message that needed to be shared. And so when I talk to people about finding your voice with video, what I think that video can do for you so well is it allows people to really get to know you on a transparent human level. And right now, this is such a time. You were made for this time to be able to reach people with a deeper connection, a more authentic way of them seeing your facial expressions, seeing your hand movements. I know I tend to move my hands some. Hearing your voice. Like they're getting all these different 3-dimensional versions of you because of video. I don't think it's just because of the numbers and the metrics. I literally think because people are craving human interaction right now, this is a perfect time for you to put yourself and your message into a video space. So let's talk about those 3 R's. And yes, I'm glad you came by, 24-hour boss. Thank you. I love it. I love it. And I see this comment I want to pop up here too. John says, I used to worry about what people thought about me, but then I realized nobody noticed it. And maybe they do, but that shouldn't shut you down because there are people that need to hear you. There are people that need to see you. There are people who are counting on you to actually speak up. So let me share these 3 R's of confidence with you. So the first one is recognize. Recognize that you have the thoughts, that you have the fears, that you have the feelings. Recognize it, be aware of it, understand that, okay, I see what this is. I know what it is. I acknowledge that I'm feeling these things. Okay. Acknowledge that. So R is for recognize. The second R is reframe. Reframe by viewing this. And let me tell you, one of the biggest things that changed my entire trajectory of being on camera. See, at first I thought that it was about me. First I thought, okay, me being on camera is all about me. And so I need to be perfect. I need to have all these things done. I need to look, feel, talk. All these things need to be just flying in the right order in order for me to do this. But when you reframe and you see that this live stream thing that we're doing right now is simply conversation, it's conversation with another person. When I recognized that it wasn't about me talking to 10,000 people, but it was about me talking to that one person that needed to hear what I had to say, it made things so different. It felt like a load lifted off my shoulder. Like, wow, okay, I don't have to worry about, oh my God, what if there's 150 people? What if I just thought about that one person who could learn from what I had to share, who could learn from my own personal experiences, who could learn from the stories of the people that I've served in the past and people that I'm serving right now as clients? What if that one person heard that one thing that transforms the rest of their business life, that changed their family's life and their position in the world? What if that one thing that you said on that video, on that live stream, was the game changer for them? And so when I reframed, when I used that second R, that made all the difference. So the first one, let me pull those up again. The first one is to recognize and acknowledge your feelings and be aware and just know them for what they are. It's just fear. It might be insecurities. It could be any number of things. And every single human being in the whole entire planet faces that at some point, even if they don't look like they do. Reframe by restating and viewing the situation differently. And then the last one is to rehearse. You can't rehearse if you're just sitting there and ignoring and deciding, I'm not going to go live today because, all of the stars aren't lined up or all of the lights aren't green. Look, so I always talk about this. I always talk about the fact that there are people, if you talk to them, you can just imagine this, that they're planning a trip. So right now I'm in Dallas in the snowpocalypse. So we are snowed and iced in. I was hoping the electricity would stay on. Thank goodness. Thank God. Yes, that it stayed on. But let's say I'm planning a trip, which I actually am planning the trip to go, to speak. And so what if I said, I can't go to the airport until all the lights are green so I can have a straight shot? What if I told myself that? I would never, ever leave the house. I would never make it to the destination. And that's sometimes what we do when it comes to the rehearse part. We say, no, I need to make sure it's perfect before I can get on camera. So let me go ahead and do this off in a corner by myself, which is okay to start. But at some point, you got to put yourself out there in front of people so you can get the real feedback, so you can really feel what it means to be on camera and to be live. Because if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it really fall? If you go live, nobody sees it. What was the point? So I encourage you, if you're new to this, to start out by practicing and rehearsing on your own. And you can absolutely do that. As a matter of fact, an easy way to do this in Facebook, for instance, is to go live in your personal profile and change the audience to only me. And that will allow only you to see the result, okay, of the live stream. Only you. And if you want to change the audience afterwards and give certain people access to be able to give you critique, you can do that. But at some point, you got to pull off the training wheels and you got to ride the bike. Okay? So recognize, reframe, and rehearse. So I'm going to check in and I'm going to see some folks. I see some laughter in there. Thank you. Feel the meh and do it anyway. Exactly. Let me see. Thank you, Natalie, for reposting those two in the comments. I appreciate it. Venice Johnson in the house. What's up? Over preparing is one of my favorite forms of procrastination. I know. I'm going to tell you about one of mine in just a second. It's so hilarious. Learning by doing is the best way to get feedback. That is absolutely right. I totally believe that. So our point number 1 is really about overcoming some of the mindset issues. I have a couple of other things I want to talk about in the mindset and preparation segment. So let's dive into that. But first, the 3 R's. So recognize what you're feeling, reframe how you're thinking, rehearse. Now, one thing when it comes to the reframing thing, one thing I want you to think about, there's a concept that is called the fixed versus the growth mindset. A fixed mindset is where you say, it is what it is. This is who I am. I've learned these things and this is just who I'm going to be. Or I'm a failure and I just can't see myself moving any further than this. I'll never be able to do this whole live streaming thing. So I'm out. The growth mindset person says, I can learn. Oh, I messed that up. I can fix that. Oh, I was on mute, which was my issue. One of my actually, I've done this multiple times throughout my live streaming career, y'all. It's hilarious. But I've had times where I was completely mute and silent. And I'm just talking like I'm talking with you right now and thinking that I'm just like, it's the best presentation ever. And the people on the other side are like, we can't hear you. And here's the challenge with that is that because you don't really have another person that's like in your space, if you're not doing interviews, I had people trying to text and DM. It was the nuttiest thing. Now I could have had a breakdown. I could have been like, oh my God, I'm never putting myself out there again, ever. Oh, the drama. But instead, I laughed. I turned the speaker on and I laughed. And I've learned to laugh over the years. Initially, I wasn't laughing. It wasn't funny because I thought, oh my God, I just embarrassed myself in front of these people. Will they ever come back? Maybe. Some won't. But you're human. So just know that you're going to make mistakes and there will be times where things won't go right. I know, I think it's John Lacey and a few other people say live happens, right? It's just like live happens. So there are going to be things that will go wrong. But the more you rehearse, which was that number 3, the more competence you build up in this field of live streaming, just like with anything else, the more confident you become. But you got to build your competence muscle. You got to do it in order for you to get better at doing this thing, just like with anything else. Okay, so I am going to, I see some folks in the chat. I see some stream bosses in here. What's up? Take those training wheels off, Michelle said. All right. Let's finish up on the mindset and preparation thing. The last thing I want to tell you about in that space is this. Set realistic expectations. So when we're talking about mindset and preparation, I could go into a whole bunch of other things, but I'll save them for some future lives, right? But the number one thing I want you to address with yourself is that it's not about perfection. It's about you being present. It's not perfection. It's you being present, meaning that you show up. Present in the moment, present in the space, in the window of time that you're in, I could have easily said, as a matter of fact, I did say this a couple of hours ago, I really just don't feel it right now. I really just don't feel it right now. And you hear yourself saying that. And so I went into those 3 R's and I was like, nope, I'm committed to doing this. This is my first live stream of 2025. And I'm coming out the gate doing it, doing this thing, right? And I said that to myself to replace that original thinking until I was hyped and ready to go. And if you need hype music, if you need, and that's what I did at the beginning of this, I put my hype music on because at first I wasn't even going to do a countdown timer, but I thought, no, I'm putting it on because that gets me jazzed up. I'm putting on my favorite, rose scented candle or my Fruit Loops candle. For those of you who know, I love that scent. For some reason, it reminds me of being at my grandma's house way back in the day. But the realistic expectations. So making sure that you have the understanding that you're not going to be perfect, but you do need to be present. And if that's all you can provide, if that's all you can do is to show up, then that's enough. And the rest is icing on the cake. So that's your mindset. As a new live streamer, as someone who's been doing this for a while, if you're somewhere in the middle, it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to always have to work on your mind because that is where you succeed or where you fail. If any of that resonated with you, if you got any nuggets from the first point that I just shared, I want you to put a fire emoji into the chat. And I'm watching for questions too. So if anyone has questions, feel free to share. Okay. All right. Before we move into segment 2 and we talk about technical setup, I'm going to pop up a few comments that I see here. Let's see what we got. Hey. Learn live streaming with John Lacey. I spent a week preparing, had no audience, but figured I'd do it for the replay. Muted, of course. I know. Did it again an hour later and was better and people showed up. Yes, don't give up. Do not give up on the first try. Absolutely, it is not about perfection. It is about being present. Thank you for the fire emojis, y'all. I need those fire emojis. That helps keep me going. I love it. Thank you. All right. So let's go into point 2. So here's point 2, technical setup. So you need the mindset and the prep. You also need to be able to set up technically. Like you do need to get to know equipment. You do need to understand gear, or maybe you don't. Here's the thing. What you're going to have to do is to make some decisions about a few things. Now, I'm of the mindset that I can always do one of 3 things. So with every task, and I've always done things this way because I'm very structured and systematic, but not everybody is. But I'm going to give you my tip. My tip is every task you look at, you can say, I'm going to put it into one of 3 buckets or maybe multiple buckets, but act, assign, or automate. So there are going to be times when you are going to want to act. You're the person who is taking the action because you have everything you need to act. There are going to be times you're going to want to automate, which I do a lot with a lot of different platforms and tools, which I also love to review. And then you're also going to assign and outsource. So there are going to be certain tasks that you can outsource and assign. So when it comes to your gear, your technical setup, your live stream production, there's some decisions that you get to make. You get to make a decision about which parts of that flow, that whole process, you will be doing and what you want to assign or outsource to someone else. So there is a rise of people who are in the remote live production space ever since, especially out after 2020, when we all were home. There have been a lot more people who have started to learn and understand the skill of remote live production. So I literally can produce your show from my house here in Dallas, even if you're in Canada, right? So you can outsource some of this stuff, but here's my tip in regards to the whole technical setup. I'm going to share with you some of the things that you need to know, because you still need to, as the manager of your business, as the owner of your space, you still need to understand at least enough of what needs to be done so that when you are paying someone else to do certain things, you know that you're on target. Like, you're not being snowed over, nobody's overcharging you to do certain things, right? So you need to at least understand the mechanics behind the setup. So what I would share with you in regards to setup, I'm going to keep it real light because we'll do some future videos this year, of course. And we have some challenges coming up, which I'll tell you about, where you can go deeper. But ultimately, what you need to make a decision about is what's essential and what is optional. The essentials are mainly going to be that you need to have some type of camera, right? So you need a webcam. You need some way to, and maybe it's not a webcam. I'll talk about that in a second. But you need a camera. You need a way to collect your audio, your sound. So you need audio, microphone of some type. And then you need lighting. Those are really the essentials. And there's a lot of other extras. Another thing you do need that I do think is essential that I need to say is internet connection. Okay. One thing that frustrates some people when they start out is they're like, you told me that I could do this and I just needed to use what I have. But when I tried to start it, it just buffered and it never went through and it looked really crappy, so they'll say those things. So definitely investing in a strong internet connection is going to be important. And I won't, again, get too technical with that, but I will say that I am so centered around making sure I have those essential things that I even have a Go kit. I just worked with my Signature Stream Accelerator members on this, putting together a mobile Go kit so that just in case they need to go live stream and they're traveling, because the ones that were in that group actually are travelers, I wanted them to be able to have a portable system and means of being able to go live wherever they are. Now, I don't do that all the time because I don't travel that often, but I know what to take. So when I do travel next week, for instance, I will be taking certain things in my kit. And one of the things that I have is a mobile or portable Wi-Fi system. So I have a MiFi, as they call them. The one I'm using is called Solus, but there's a ton of other ones out there, and you can probably contact your telephone service provider, so your mobile phone service provider, and find out if there's a specific one they recommend that works with your service, or you can get one like Solus. Another one that one of my members talked about is Sapphire, but 5G or 4G LTE. Won't get into the technicals on that because I know we could go all day on it, but I will say, so having those things and having some form of internet. So if you're at home and you're in a stable space like I am, I'm always wired. I'm connected to the router directly. So not Wi-Fi, but I'm connected with my Ethernet from the laptop, from my Mac, to the router directly. So I'm hardwired is what they call it. And if you can do that, that's absolutely the best way. Now, there's going to be scenarios where you can't do that. And before, early on, I didn't have any knowledge about that, nor could I do that because of the arrangements in our house. But when you think about essentials, lighting, camera, microphone, and then a source for internet, stable internet connection, those are going to be really critical things in order for you to go live and for it to be, for it to go well. If you don't have one of those parts, just think of it as though those are the stands or the legs on a chair. If you don't have one of those, you're going to end up wobbling. Now, I do love to tell you, if you are a new person to streaming, don't go out and buy thousands of dollars of gear. You don't have to have all this fancy stuff. You don't need this. What you do need is to start with what you have, yes, and then build on it as you begin to recognize that you are going to do more consistent live streams. And if you make a decision that you're not out of a bunch of money. So be conscientious and be responsible about that. Because I know you can watch videos all day long on YouTube about, oh, go get this gear. It's only $2,500. Or how about this? It's $10,000. It's this. Don't start wasting and spending money on things that you may not even ever need. Start with the essentials. That's my talk on that. Yeah, the Go Kit. The Go Kit is key. And learn live streaming with John Lacey. We're always so on the same page. It's so funny that you said that. I didn't even see it. You said a decent internet connection. Yeah, you have to have that. Yeah, the Go Kit is really helpful if you're someone who's doing things on the go, and your smartphone can actually operate as your camera. I also have something called a DJI Pocket 3. I'll have to do a video on that. But the folks that are in my signature stream accelerator, we talked about that, and most of them, they picked up the Pocket 3 because it's so portable. I usually have it on my desk, but it's being packed. It's so portable and easy to carry around, and then you don't have to worry about potentially dropping your phone and all of that other stuff. So it gives you a lot of options and some flexibility with movement, and it also follows you as you go. Anyway, if you've got questions about equipment or gear, feel free to drop them in and I can answer what I can tonight. And if not, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part. And I will definitely do some more deeper dive gear conversations in the future. And we're going to have some special guests on as well in regards to that. Because I got a lot of friends that are way more savvy at gear than I am. So I would love for you to talk to them. Okay. Platform selection and setup. Yeah. So as part of your setup, the other thing, the second thing and last thing that I'll share is that you need to think about a couple of things. You need to think about where you want to go live. So Facebook is probably the easiest place to get started because it has a little bit of a lower barrier of entry. So depending on the number of followers you have and all of that stuff, and whether or not you're doing a group or your personal profile or a business page, you'll have to decide where you want to start, and then that will determine the directions that you need to follow in order to get set up. YouTube Live does have certain minimum requirements and criteria first, and then also LinkedIn Live. And there are others, Instagram, TikTok Live. TikTok, you need to have a certain number of followers. So most of them, if not all of them, have some form of a criteria or a level that you need to reach in terms of your followers, how long you've been on the platform. There's certain things that they have in place for safety and precaution reasons to make sure you're a real person. But once you meet those criteria, you're able to be in those spaces. So what are you looking for? You're looking for, when it comes to your platform, where are your people? Who do you want to talk to? And we didn't even get into that part of strategy, right? We didn't even talk about business strategy from the beginning, which means that you know who you serve, you know what you're the expert at and how you want to position yourself. And then you also know what your message is about how you're differentiating yourself. If you know those things, then that will help to determine and define the best platform for you to be on. So that's a decision that each of you will make. And it may be different than what someone else says. Okay? It's all you. Because if you're trying to go live and have conversations with people on camera in a space that you don't feel comfortable, or where you feel that it's just not your happy place, you're forcing it. And what will happen is you'll find yourself showing up in a way that it feels more like a stressor than it does a relief, right? When I get on camera and I come and I talk to you wherever you are on the platforms that I've chosen, it's because I've chosen to be here with you and I know you're here. And if it's a space that I don't feel comfortable with, if it's a space where I feel that there are things that are taking place that they're not aligned with my values, I probably won't be there anymore. You get to make those decisions. So remember that. Never let anyone else kind of handcuff you to a certain space because they're telling you, hey, if you're here, it's going to do X. Nobody can ever promise that. Be in a place where you feel joy and where you feel connected and where your energy level is where it needs to be. Just sharing this from experience because I've been in the opposite situation. Okay. If anything stood out to you so far about what we've shared, and there's a mental note you want to make out loud, feel free to pop it in the chat. If there's any message point that I've shared so far, pop that in the chat. Okay, I'm ready to give you my heart framework. You ready? Okay, so here's point number 3. And this is content structure. So the first thing we talked about, of course, was mindset and preparation. Then we talked about technical setup, and now we're going into content structure, and this is going to close us out. So content structure, there's a simple framework that will help you to really figure out how to actually organize your content for your live streams. And I'm going to call it the heart framework. You ready? Look, if you're ready, put a heart in the comments. Let's pop it up. And if you have questions, remember to ask, okay? Here's the heart framework. So your hook is where you begin. Your hook is going to help people to know what you're even talking about. It's like a simple introduction to what your topic is going to be about. So when you're delivering really any type of content these days, because people's attention spans are so short, you want to start with the hook. And so a hook may be, hey, have you ever struggled with going live? Have you been thinking about doing this for the last year and you think today is your day, but somehow you just can't move? Well, tonight we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah. So that would have been something similar to a hook that I would use for this particular video we're doing right now, right? Ask questions, make a practical statement, use statistics. Hey, did you know that the attention span of a goldfish is longer than a human these days? Attention span of a goldfish is 8 seconds, and that's longer than a human being. So, I mean, something like that that will get attention, that will get people thinking, that will get people talking, that will get people staying. You start with the hook. Next, engage. So one of the things that I am really, I wasn't always as conscientious about this, to be honest, but I have learned, and I'm continuing to learn how to do this. Engagement is so important. It's really the heart, it's the lifeblood of your live streams, because otherwise you're just kind of talking to yourself, which you could just be doing a video on demand if that's happening. So I love live streams in that I get to engage with you in the chat. And if you ask questions, I can answer them. I love to answer questions. And if if something's resonating with you, I can ask you to put a heart or a fire emoji, right? Or a thumbs up or a wave, all those things I can share with you. That I acknowledge you as a new person to the show by asking you to type in hashtag newbie or asking you to type in hashtag OG. These are things that are part of intentional engagement strategy. So when you go live, I think of what can I do to engage? So even as I was building out the automated system, the bots that I've created for different parts of the live stream framework, one of the things I made sure to do is to build in, hey, I need this assistant to help people to come up with engagement strategies that are best suited for their target audience. Because engagement really is what makes the entire thing go. So ask questions that resonate. And we're going to do a deeper dive on that one too, because I was going to say something else, but I won't prolong that. Okay. Hook, engage, advance. So advancing is sharing your main teaching point or points. Now, I'm going to say that this whole heart framework can actually work in a couple of different ways. It can work for you if you're doing a longer live stream like I'm doing now, or even think about this, if you're doing a really short, quick hitter video, so you're doing like reels or something, works for that too. You still need a hook. You still need to engage with people. Even if it's not necessarily live, you still need to advance and share your main teaching point or points. Now, typically for me, I'm going to go somewhere between 3 and 5. That's my happy place when it comes to doing these. Uh-oh. Something just happened there. Let's see what happened. I just lost my camera. So let me do a backup real quick here. Hold on for a second. We're going to switch over. We're going to move things because I think you can still hear me, but you cannot see me, and I'm not sure why. All right, I'm switching cameras, and we're going to switch it right now. Okay, well, not sure what happened. I'll work on that later. But look at this, backup. You need a backup plan too. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We'll finish up heart, and then I will figure out what just happened there. Okay. Let me pull it back up for you. Hook, engage, advance, which means that you're teaching, you're going through with the teaching points. And so those teaching points that you have would be the things that I'm talking about right now. So we're doing the 3 teaching points, right? Yes, I'm here, Natalie. I don't know what happened. One of my camera just went off, my DSLR, for some reason. So I'll fix that in a minute. Respond is where we are. Okay, so responding, this is so important. Do not forget this. Look, I learned this a little late in the game, but I get it now. Look, people want to know that you acknowledge them. So when you're responding, it's not just about acknowledging them through their name and through the hellos. It's also taking a quick second to think about how you're responding to them, not just giving them some type of canned answer response, but even after your live stream show, you're going to go back to wherever the platform was that you recorded. So maybe it was YouTube, maybe it was Facebook, maybe it was LinkedIn, but you're going to go back and you're going to double check and see, did I have comments? Did somebody ask a question? Is there a way that I need to respond? And you're going to acknowledge that they came and they took the time to consume your content. The more you do that, the more likely you will be to really attract loyal followers, people who will come back and who will hang out with you and spend time with you, right, on your future streams. So response is so, to me, it's so critical. It really is. Responding even after the show. Absolutely. So you can do this. We're doing it right now. Like, I'm responding to you in this moment on camera, but I also recognize that there will be people that will watch the replay. Therefore, I need to have a plan in place to make sure I go back and I respond. And then finally, the transform is the call to action. So transform is really where you have an opportunity to change people's life, to give them extended access to you in a different way, right? It is critical for you not just simply to leave people hanging. One of the things that I learned, and I'm going to address, I see a couple of people that have commented, but one of the things that I've learned from folks like you is that people are looking for a way to continue to have the conversation, even after the video. So in order for you to do that, you really need to give them access. And so you need to let them know what's the next step. I'll never forget when a person said to me, it was nice that you had all this great content, but I really didn't know what I was supposed to do next. I actually had a guy say that to me probably about 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I was at an event and he said, yeah, I love your content. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do next. So that requires you as a business owner in particular to think about what are the services, what's the natural customer journey or path that people will take with me if they know these things. So for me, to give you an example, I'm going to give you a real life, real time example right in this moment. I'm teaching this this content tonight that's talking about mastering your first live stream because I'm about to kick off a series of challenges that are going to be taking place every month in 2025. The first challenge, I have to start with the basics first. And the first one is launching your live stream, your first live stream, or launching your live stream in 3 days. And so we're doing that at the end of this month. I believe it's Monday, the 27th. And as of tomorrow, I'm going to start sending out content and information about that. So the first challenge is called the Livestream Launchpad Challenge. And there's a series of 3 different challenges that fit within that space. So if you're not already on my list, make sure you do go and subscribe if you are interested. I want interested parties only. This year and last year too, I said, I don't want to try to convince people that they need video. I want to work with the people who already know that they need it, they want it. They just need to know how to do it. Because I'm here for you. So go to streamlikeaboss.tv/subscribe so that you're on my email list if you do want to get access to that. Now, I did tell my friend at Stampede Social, Jeff, that I was going to test this out. So if you put the word start in YouTube, I think it might send you a link. I don't know. It may send you a link to my subscription page, but try putting the word start and we'll see if it works. So I can report back to him that I did my homework. Okay, let me pop up some comments because we have wrapped the majority of our content here. And I hope that it was helpful to you. I'm so sorry about the camera going out. I'm not sure what happened there, but I have my backup camera. One of my backups is on. Let me do this. I'm going to pop up comments. Yeah, it probably is the snow. It probably is the stupid snow and ice. Yes, because I was dreading that a little bit, thinking it might end up impacting the live stream. So yeah. Yep. Chocolate quilts is not, we don't have the fire here because I'm not in the California area. I do want to say I am definitely praying for those folks who are impacted and hopefully things will get better because, you know, our weather is going to be better. We're going to get warmer within a week, but this fire has really taken lives and it's taken property and it's sad. Yes, transform is the call to action. John Lacey said, connect those dots. Okay, y'all, I'm going to see if the start worked. I will be checking in with you. I see a few of you have popped that in. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, let me do my quick little recap and we'll take us home on this. Tonight we talked about mastering your first live stream. Like, how do you actually put things together such that you are going live and you're feeling good about it and everything is working? Oh, I'm so sad. I see your note, John, that your former co-host had to evacuate his home. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hopefully he'll be all right and his family will be all right. Let's do our recap. And that will take us out for the rest of this week. And next week, I'm probably going to pre-record a video for you because I'll be traveling and I'll be speaking at PodFest. So I want to make sure that you do have some content and I don't leave you hanging. What we'll be doing, I don't have the topic in front of me right now, but I do have everything mapped out. So we'll get you some goodies for next week. The other thing I'll mention to you is if you do subscribe, one of the things that I'm starting to do now with my email is my email community gets the bonuses. So you'll get a copy or you'll get a link back to the replay for this YouTube video, but you'll also get some other goodies, including a nice handy little checklist and mind map that you can use to help you to implement on what we talked about tonight. So make sure you subscribe. Okay. Yes, chocolate quilts. I will definitely be praying for your family there as well in California. Yeah. Ah, so much going on right now, y'all. It's going to be an interesting year. So just hang on to your hats. Make sure if you, whatever it is that keeps you sane and that keeps you feeling like you're on purpose, stay connected to that. Stay connected to the people that you love and to the resources that will help you to get through. Please do that. Okay, recap. Let's do it. Point number 1. Here's what we talked about. We talked about mindset and preparation. We talked about making sure that we are in the proper mindset to be able to be on camera and to do what needs to be done. And sometimes that is simply acknowledging these 3 R's, that we're recognizing where we are and how we're feeling, that we're reframing any negative thoughts into positive thoughts, that we're rehearsing, and that we're reframing, by the way, we talked about growth mindset too. We talked about the fact that instead of having a fixed mindset where we can't learn and we can't change, we have a growth mindset where we're constantly learning, constantly changing, and also adding new skills and abilities to our plate, right? We have to do that. Rehearsing, can't forget that. The more you do this thing, the easier it will get, the better you will be on camera. And then we talked about point number 2, which is technical setup. And I shared a few little goodies about technical setup without going too deep to where you had smoke coming out of your ears. But we talked about some of the basics, the 4 legs of the chair, your camera, your lighting, your microphone, and then also having a strong internet connection, or at least a stable internet connection. And then on point 3, we talked about content structure, and I shared my HEART framework with you. And the HEART framework is this: hook, engage, advance, respond, and transform. The transform is the call to action. That's the part that a lot of times people forget. They may do everything else, but they have nowhere to send people afterwards. So make sure that you have given people a next step, because if they want to, they will follow. It's not about you feeling like you're being overly salesy or any of that stuff. It literally is about you being accountable, not only to yourself and your business, but also to the person on the other side that is paying attention and consuming that content. You're making sure that they have a path forward with you, especially if they want that. You're giving them that option. All righty, folks. That's what I have for this evening. It has been my pleasure to serve you in this way. Please stay safe. If I need to, because I usually like to have really high quality video when I do the clips. If I need to, I'll re-record a portion of this for you for later. But I'm just glad that you and I got a chance to hang out and that the electricity, the light stayed on. So just pray for us that we keep our heat and all of that stuff tonight, because it's supposed to really drop. Eek. And I'm also definitely keeping in my thoughts and my prayers those folks who are impacted by the wildfires, because that's a big deal. And I hope that everyone remains safe and sound wherever you are, no matter what the weather, no matter what the conditions are around you. Okay? All righty, folks. I will see you next time in the stream. And we will not be live next week, but I'll make sure I record a video for you. And I'll probably do some, I don't know if I'll do lives or not, but I probably will do a live from the event, from the conference. Okay? All right. Take care and have a good one.